Hello, hello. Who do we have here today? We have one person here. Oh, there's a pile of stuff in my background. What is that? Oh, box. Got go. Move that out of the way. And that's less distracting. I see 3 people here. Let me know who you are. How's Friday treating everyone? And can you hear me? That's probably the important part. Can you hear me? Oh, Tom's here. What? Clearly not a busy enough Friday for you to show up. Well, thanks for making the appearance. Blondie is here. Hello, hello. Flipping Farm Girls here. Hello. I was just as surprised it isn't 9 p.m. Well, we're experimenting with nighttime and daytime because not everybody does the nighttime. You don't do the nighttime because you turn up to like 2 night sessions and then you decided that it was not well, the session is good, it wasn't for you. And so welcome to the morning crowd. And we even tried to do the 12 p.m. start, and that that afternoon sluggishness kind of hit, and then you could tell from about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, everyone's just a bit and so then 10 a.m. start it is. So yes. Goblins here, hello. Octo's here. Gosh, we must behave. We must behave. We must do good work. Why do we allow an octopus to make us feel as on edge as we do? Why? Why? I've also come prepared with lunch today. So I've got sushi here. I'll see if I can show it to you guys. Ta-da! Like a properly plated thing of sushi so I can eat during the listing time and stay here in front of you guys for 4 hours straight. That's my commitment level. Superiority syndrome or Stockholm syndrome. Very funny, Octo. Very funny. Flipping Palm Girl says was booked in for next week's session, but just popping in after dropping off mail and enjoying lake views. Got it. Okay, well, thanks for popping in. We appreciate it. Did I ask this? Whereabouts are you in Australia, Flipping Farm Girl? What's in your soy sauce, Jake? Oh, Jake, hello. Wasabi. Or as my son likes to call it, turtle ooze. Yeah, turtle's the craze at the moment. I think turtles is going to be the craze until past Christmas. All right, I'm going to start a timer. Let's get listing. Dude, dude. Boop. Near Shepperton, got it. All right, how's everyone doing? I'm sitting on 17 at the moment. So that's pretty good pace ish. Ooh, what did I do? We have 9 people here. We have so when we started the timer, Paul and Jada turned up, Scott, Dave, and Sam. I feel like we should just start another timer. That was a bit quick. I still want to keep going, and it looks like the chat's pretty. Hey, Michelle's here. Hello, hello. And the flipping farm goes back. Shall I start another timer? I think help us to warm up a bit better. It feels like we're all feeling a bit flat today. Get that Friday energy going. Come on. Somebody give me a let's go and I'll start a new timer. Justin's in. Let's go. We only need one. Okay. All right, how's everyone doing? I've got one more to go to get to 34 listings, so that makes it to a 17 per half hour slot, which I'm happy with. So gonna finish this before we have a chat, if we want to have a chat. Oh, Justin, killing it. 25 listings done, 30 minutes late. Nice, nice. As we say, killing it for your rate, because you're obviously listing things that are a lot simpler. People who are doing dresses, please do not compare to Justin and myself, because toys and collectible cards are a lot easier to list than giant pieces of clothing. All right. I have a camera, so Paul's going. I have a camera set up to white balance against the white background, which is bright white, and the photos are still a little gray, which usually I just put straight in. Isn't the issue because you have the white background that the phone decides the contrast against the white? That was my biggest reason for not having a white background. It wasn't about whether Google will take it. It was the fact that when you give the phone an endpoint, like when you give if 0 is black and 10 is white, once you give it a 10, it will just assume everything else was like 9, 8, 7, 6. And so that's the reason why I was like, yeah, I'm not going to give the white, because if I give the white, even the wall, like the wall that you guys see me photograph again, that's not actually pure white. That's like an off-white. So if you take like the white core flute and you put it next to that wall, the wall will look a bit not the wall will not look white. But it's that whole, it's a softer white, and therefore everything else in the photo kind of looks brighter. So I think it's not really to do with the brightness setting, so to speak, because then you'll just make your white even brighter, right? In which case, then is that too jarring, especially if you think about people shopping at night, doom scrolling with minimal lighting? Isn't that not a good experience? What do you think? I'll let you guys type in the chat. I'm gonna get water. Be back. Flipping Farm Girls going 15 book listings slow going today. Flipping Farm Girl, do you have a name? And would you like to tell us? I'm building up a Rolodex, so I remember who everyone is. 15 book listings slow going today. That's all right. As long as we're going. I think Friday is a very easy day to not go. I think the expectations on a Friday morning heading into a weekend is Jane. Awesome. Lovely to meet you. So Jane, with Friday, look, if Tuesday night we were going slow, we would be like, yeah, let's go faster. It's Tuesday night. But Friday, it's like, great, we're going, as opposed to not going. Because it's so easy to potter around on Friday. It's so easy to just do a bunch of little things just to get to the weekend. So if you're doing specific productive focus work, I think that's a big plus already. Have a lunch date at 1 and date night with hubby. Ooh, Queen revival concert. That sounds fun. That sounds like you'll leave. That sounds like ending the day on a high. That's awesome. I hope you enjoy it. And let us know how you go. Justin's gone. I want another 50 listings done today to cover the weekend. I'm going away to Yapun this weekend and with my wife and kids for a mini getaway and recharge. Nice. Nice. What am I doing this weekend? Well, I know tonight I'm making dinner. So tonight I'm making like Wagyu. I bought Wagyu steak, Wagyu Scotch fillets that were $110 a kilo, and we're gonna do sliced steak on Japanese rice with a bit of a salad. We got friends coming over, and the guy knows wine, so we're gonna have a nice red Japanese steak on rice. I'm looking forward to that and making all of that happen. Michelle's going. Other option for bulk edit is Lightroom with a preset, one click to change them all. That I'm guessing that's the paid option, right? From memory, if you want to bulk edit, you have to pay for it. Because I think the free version is. Or am I thinking of Photo Room? Oh, so many apps. Jazz is here. Hello. Image Magic is a good free thing for making bulk changes. Well, when you make bulk changes, though, does that make the photo look less real? And because if the whole aim is to just make the photo look brighter and more appealing without it looking doctored, do those apps make it look doctored? That's been my biggest reservation with all these apps, is that it makes it look doctored. Or could you just shine a brighter light, potentially? Could that work? Just shine a brighter light onto your, change your bulbs. Because you have a photo station that has like lamps, right? Can't you just change the bulbs to make it brighter / whiter, potentially? I pay for Photoshop because I use it every day and Lightroom comes with it in the subscription. Got it. Yes, I am realizing that I need to start paying for proper desktop applications, which is funny because I think 6 months ago I made a comment, actually several comments on how I edit all my video on the phone, and then now I'm realizing single takes no problem, but if I'm doing like multiple cuts and stuff, it's just too much work. I'm gonna get swallow the pill and just pay $500 for software. That way it can be a professional thing. And Michelle, you said it's been insanely slow lately. Worst October in many, many, many years. I am working extra hard to stop the downturn. I agree. Um, I like that you have many, 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 because in the 4 years I've been full time, this is the worst year. This is probably the worst October we've had. Because it usually starts ticking up from last month, and it's been ticking up, but not quickly enough, which is annoying. So annoying. Does everyone else feel the same way about this October? Jazz, you guys do multiple categories. Has this October been the worst October in many, many, many years? So in the last 3 years, this and now this year, so 4 years, has this been the worst October for you guys? But I know you guys will start doing some new things, so it'll be interesting to see what your take on the market is. Photoshop is insanely good for these days. I also use Canva. Canva I do use, and I quite like having Canva. Yes. The booth is extremely wide. Oh, and for those of you guys who don't know what Canva is, it's essentially online Photoshop, which is quite cheap to get. Just if you want to edit things. If you're doing social media, it's fantastic. If you're not, then probably not. But good skill sets, good skill set to have. The booth is extremely wide, but the camera app still give you a slightly gray background. It's fine to just go right onto eBay, but 5% brighter would be good. It's a subtle amount. Okay, got it. Have you tried for Adobe Firefly? It's amazing. Have had a slow start, but still within my targets. Nice. AI photo generation. I remember. I saw a video on that actually. It was very impressive. Yes. I'll wait a couple of minutes for some final words and then probably start another timer. Clint's here. Hello. Welcome. October long weekend is usually the biggest weekend of the year. This one was half the normal sales. I literally cried. It was so depressing. Oh gosh. Yes, that's right. We have to keep pushing on. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Right? Can't just throw our laptops out the window and hide under our quilts. Speaking of that, so my kids are going through this phase where they're still not phase. I reckon it's more of a they're at the age where they still like to make pillow forts and whatever. And the other day, I just kind of went into one of those forts because I was tired, and I stopped, and after it felt comfortable for like 2 minutes, and then it just felt boring. And so to the point about if things suck and you want to have a cry and you go, you know, and just go, I don't want to believe that the world exists. Within about 5 minutes, your brain very quickly tells you this is pointless. Get out from the blanket. You are pathetic. Go get some work done. You would get a big bump before Halloween. This one has been good for me so far. And I think Justin, with your category of collectible like cards and Funko Pops, I almost feel like it's an all year round thing. You're more pushed. You don't really have seasons, right? Or do they coincide with sports season? So, for example, rookie cards heading into the draft, cards. So, is it essentially just draft, beginning of the season, spikes in the season, finals, and then off season? Is that pretty much where you see those? Because that's where attention gets put on the players instead of the teams. I didn't even get to 100 parcels on Tuesday. Horrendous. I refuse to give up. Good. And we don't give up. We just keep doing. Yeah. Because it is what it is, right? We just be great. We be grateful for the fact that we can still work out of our homes and grow our businesses. And besides, when we're not fulfilling orders, we've got other things to do anyways, don't we? Tracking for my best week so far, money wise. Good stuff. My seasons are like sports seasons and then TCG releases. Yep. Got it. All right, somebody give me a let's go, and then we'll start another timer. Justin's keen. Let's go. Boop. 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 How are we trekking? How's everybody doing? I noticed Goblin and Michelle having a walk down memory lane of how things used to be back when we had shops. Feel free to chime into that conversation. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Uh, it's a big topic because I feel we all to some extent miss being in shops. And it's almost like, when there's a big gathering to host, is when you say it's like when you have family reunion and every year who's gonna host it, right? We all miss it. We all remember the time when everybody came together back in 95 and it was amazing. Let's do it again. And then there's this silence of first one speaks is the one that hosted. You know what I mean? Unless there's very clear indication, unless there's very clear indication that this person cannot. So, for example, right, very quickly, people already know who's going to do it, who's not going to do it. And everyone has a preference. If this person says they're going to do it, if this person opens their mouth, we're happy with them to do it. If this other person opens their mouth, yeah, we'd rather them not do it. And I think brick and mortar feels a bit like that. It's like our customers will constantly tell us, we miss when you used to have a shop. It was so nice to come in and it makes us feel good. But we know what it takes to run any sort of like enterprise. And so when we don't want to let them down either, you know what I mean? You don't want to like ruin that goodwill. And but it's very much that who's gonna do it again, you know what I mean? So is that how you guys feel? Because that's how I feel with brick and mortar. Those who have left brick and mortar and done an online business, it's a significant cost to go back. Welcome, Rachel. Welcome. Arriving just in time to have a chat. Just in time for the good bit, the fun bit. I'm sitting on 47 listings at the moment. I reckon I'll be able to get to that 100 mark with a late push. Doing good. Let's see. Michelle saying book week is better than Halloween. I think book week only became bigger than Halloween because during COVID the kids all missed it, and then because before COVID kids didn't participate as much, and then now all the parents are like, go do that fun stuff, go get dressed up. Yeah, parents definitely more supportive. I'm noticing. Festivals, carnivals, markets have been on the high rise since the demise of retail shops, so can be worth targeting along with the seasonal calendar. How would you target festivals and carnivals and markets apart from obviously physically rocking up? Because if you want to have that wide reach, what would your strategy approach be to coinciding, I guess, your ads or your social media or promotions with those things? Because that's not something that I do in my business at all. So yeah, how would you do that? How would you target it? Keen to know. Share with us. Please share with us. After the hit bricks and mortar took during COVID, my sales reps tell me that brick and mortar are currently faring better than pure play online like I am. Goblin disagrees. Unless you're in a high demand service incorporated into your business or part of a chain in a highly populated area. So a density, multi-offering hedge. I was able to survive through COVID, but outwards not so good. It's complicated. Closed my B&M at the end of July this year. Michelle has doubts as well. Complicated. It's a complicated situation. So many factors at play. Getting calls to see if I have reopened, and then they say, "Oh, that's okay. We miss coming in and having a browse." I don't miss them once at all. I miss chatting to customers sometimes. I'm here on my own most of the time, but I get more done now. Yes. Yes. All right. Practicalities aside, right? Practicalities aside, if money wasn't an issue, would you guys go back into brick and mortar? Like, forget about the feasibility of actually setting it all up and the investment that it would take. Michelle, Goblin, would you go back to setting up a shop? I know Paul won't. Paul has made it very clear he does not want to go back to that model. But you two, would you go back to that model? What would it take? Tom saying yes. Okay. Tom, you've been silent for a lot of the chat. Chime in. Why? Why? Justin's got another 20 listings scheduled. Could have been more, but I struggled to find a card. And Rachel's here. Can I just say something about the can I say something about the numbers? Number of people who are here. When we started at 12 o'clock, we had this number, the energy was a lot lower. Now we've got 15 in the chat, but we've only gotten here as the session has progressed. Trying to put my finger on why that's the case. Like why it is when we start at 12, everyone's a bit, but then when you start at 10, you can kind of push for it, but the numbers that show up are less at the start, building up towards that afternoon mark. All right, Tom going, the main reason is to sell difficult to post items or really cheap stuff to clear it out. Yep, makes sense. Nope, either you have to give up your life to run it long hours or deal with HR employees. Tom going adds a level of flexibility, and the best thing about having a shop is for receiving stock to sell. Good point. That inbound stock, yeah. Justin wants a brick and mortar to be the Burbank Sports Cards of Australia. Yeah, I can see that. Also, it's interesting you say that because when I go to shops that sell die-cast cars or just kids' toys in general, because of the mix of people who come through the shop, the reason why I've never considered it is because I don't like the feel of those places. I go in there, kids thrash the stock, staff don't care for it. The reason that it's a collectible because adults make it a collectible, not because by nature it is collectible. Whereas there's definitely a higher level of respect in terms of media, and like TCG, Magic the Gathering, your sports cards. There's glass cabinets. You go in there with knowing that you have to be careful and you have to be respectful. So I think there is that element of it too. Costumes, clothing. There's a level of respect for the inventory. Michelle goes, good question. John, I would go back to B&M if I could have staff. Right now, I have no staff and I can't do it on myself. It's an idea hobby and I flirt with a lot. You know what? Life is so easy in Australia compared to where I've come from, Malaysia, that sometimes just the thought, I was just telling my son that growing up, I had friends whose parents worked in shops, and after school, the school bus would drop them at the shop, not at home. And then there would be like a little room or a table in the corner, or like a portion of the glass display where all their homework was, and they'd essentially come to the shop, go around the back of the counter and just be at that corner, and they'll be doing their homework before they help out in store things. And it does lead to a particular kind of upbringing. And I did say to him, you know, obviously, imagine if we raised you that way, and then he and his 7-year-old sense of bliss goes, that'll be cool. I get to go to the shop. Da, 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 da. And I went, the theory and the real is obviously not equating, but that could be a good thing. You know, that I toy with the idea of bricks and mortar in my head only for that reason. For life to have some sort of a hardship. If you can land a shop cheaper than a storage facility there, yes, it could be a good, better workspace than some YouTubers I've seen. I don't know how they work in those environments. Working in a storage unit is not fun. I mean, I spent 2 hours in Chris's storage unit and I was cold. It was like a fridge. And obviously, you know, you do it because it's a necessity. You do it because it's financially feasible. But man, it was cold, so cold. Yeah, it was just cold. Like I had, you know, every bit of exposed skin. It was like hoodie. I was sitting like this, hands in my pockets, kind of like that the whole time we were having a chat. And he obviously was used to it, but I wasn't. It was so cold, which I can imagine in summer will be so hot. I want my shop to be a destination store. I want people to come from all over Australia just because of the atmosphere. This is definitely in the 5-year plan. That's very ambitious 5-year plan. Hope you get there. You should talk to you and Goblin should talk, because Goblin used to do brick and mortar, I'm guessing, with the cards as well. And I also have a few friends who have actually toyed with this idea of like having a destination type place where the primary purpose is to play. You know, like the you know, those shops where they run tournaments for Warhammer and they run tournaments for Magic, and then there's the side income of, you know, the food and beverage with the opportunity to buy stuff and then exclusive releases and whatever else. Lots of variables, and definitely you need that. There's a heavy. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have to be a very good marketer, not just a very good product sourcer. So the eBay skill set, great. You know how to price things, comp things, sell things. But once you do that, you need to have a really awesome. Like, you have to be really good at hyping things up. So how do you rate yourself as a hype man, Justin? If somebody set up a big warehouse and did a pop culture version of an antique stall where you put your stuff and somebody else managed it, consider that. Yeah, the problem with that, I see what you're saying now. I was thinking to myself, don't they do that already? But I know you're right, they don't. Because most of them it's an antique place trying to be relevant, but not letting go of the antique. So when you go in there, it's like antiques and pop culture kind of meshed together. But yeah, if it was just pop culture alone, it would be interesting. I don't think anybody does that yet. Or not that I've seen anyways, because everyone I've been to is that weird blend. And the places, and those places I feel don't give any thought to their layout. So when you walk in there, it's like walking into someone else's mess. I walk into those places, it feels like the antique booth started at the front. Someone didn't want to run it anymore, so there was a gap. And then in that gap, they put the next person, because the next person that came, because they have to keep filling up the spaces to keep getting the rental revenue, right? So then they just put someone else in there, and someone else in there, and someone else in there. And occasionally they might move some around, but for the most part, it's like you've been here for a while. You just got here. All your things don't go together, and it's like my brain doesn't know what to do with it when I go in there, and I don't even know what I'm looking for. Yeah, it's just chaos in my head when I find those places very overwhelming. My kids grew up with me having customers a lot, but when they got older, I stopped seeing customers in person. Kids need you more when they are older, but I only have one kid at school now. I see. Camps is here. Cool. Any more thoughts on the brick and mortar conversation? And once again, if you guys feel that you connect with a particular person in the chat and you want to have a conversation with them directly, reach out to them on Instagram, reach out to them on Facebook if you know how to find them. Yeah, use this as a place to like connect with people as well, because you never know what ideas you'll come up with. You might even find someone to work with that you never thought you'd do. That's the beauty of a community that built each other up, I guess. Yeah. Don't be shy, is all I'm saying. Old Bunnings building would be great for that. I was wondering if anyone had issues with buying and selling this week. No, no issues. What kind of issues were you What kind of issues were you seeing, James? When you say issues, Rachel saying wouldn't apply a display coupon. Interesting. Sellers canceling orders because they didn't like the price it went for. Isn't that like what's new? You just had it was just your turn with the crazies then maybe. I do okay. I do get a lot of like out of all my cancellations, I reckon the majority of them are people who buy overseas, not realizing they've bought an overseas one. They go to check out, they see the overseas shipping, and then they go, ugh. And that like I'm not even surprised when I see a cancellation. I look at it, it's like, yep, it's an overseas buyer because they've realized that new account overseas buyer realizing that the overseas shipping is too expensive. But then I don't. But then because I also sell overseas so much, I don't ever assume that my items shouldn't have that pricing. I just know someone else overseas will pay for it. You just didn't want it enough. Like you just didn't want it that $20 extra enough, but other people do. So keep going. Had 4 this week. It sounds like a very your turn kind of week, Jams. I need more help with reporting sellers and buyers this week. Might have hired some. I need more help with reporting sellers and buyers this week. Might have to hire someone. Report the sellers like them giving us a bad name. Dave asking Tom, with having a warehouse, is there still resistance from distributors selling to you? Do they want a retail environment for their stock? Tom says, Dave, we generally don't have any problems with buying stock, just need to tick a few boxes. But at the end of the day, eBay money, end of the day, money talks. Yep, that makes sense. Makes sense. And correct me if I'm wrong, if you want to get stock and they don't trust that you can get that you can move the stock or you'll come back, isn't it a case where you just pay up front and accept they just set you a high minimum and they expect you to pay up front, right? That's really it, isn't it? Like, for example, in the future, someone might go, I buy 10 grand of stock every single time I go to the supplier, and they might just go, well, for you, $20,000 minimum buy, payment up front. That's kind of like that first initial thing. That's what I understood it to be. And then that just becomes better over time. Right? I wonder why eBay sales are down overall with all these idiot sellers. I bought something, they accepted my offer, and then I got it and it was crap. I like they said they accepted my offer because it was damaged listed as new. That sucks. I like the fact that there are crap sellers on eBay because then it's a lot less effort to differentiate yourself. I think that's the flip side, right? If you sell on a platform, everything is new. It's a race to the bottom price wise. Everyone's using stock photos. There's very little room for differentiation. And here's the thing, right? Even if you are the cheapest on a platform where you can't differentiate yourself and you're using stock images, even when those orders are poorly fulfilled, people still stay on the platform because the platform is easy to use. And so I don't think poor sellers on eBay takes buyers away from eBay, but it does make buyers stickier to you, the seller, on eBay when you do a fantastic job. So for those reasons, I'm quite okay with there being bad sellers on eBay. Like I was saying to Paul the other day, like whenever somebody copies my image, like someone copied my image, they priced it higher. I just use them to price it lower. Move my stuff, right? Thank you for providing me a reference point that people see me really good as. Because human beings compare at the end of the day. If you're the only listing up there, your listing will sit because unless it's an in-demand item that people know what it sells for and you're selling it at a bargain price, most people need a comparison. So there being comparisons and bad comparisons is a good thing for you if you're a good seller. I buy 2 hard drives enclosures and they arrived yesterday in a box with 3 stamps on it. Sent. Oh my gosh, that's poor. I have loads of wholesale accounts and don't have a retail space, but every wholesaler is different. Then they abuse me for saying, "How dare you say it's not new?" Well, it's not. It's not new. You know what you should do? You should make them abuse you more, and then you can report them for being abusive. All right, someone give me a let's go. I want to get back to listing. I'm sure you guys want to do that too. Otherwise, we will lose momentum, and that's not a good thing, and it's a very hard thing to get back on a Friday. Also, in insignificant tiny news, this came in the mail today. Yay! For those of you who don't know, what that means is that um YouTube have now verified that I'm a real person and I live where I say I live, and therefore they will actually pay me out the revenue that we have accumulated, which is not a lot, but it's nice to finally actually get paid by YouTube because currently it's all just sitting in the cloud at the moment. Which, out of curiosity, these live sessions, I think we get paid like between $2 to $5 for every live, so it's not a lot of money, but it's still better than nothing. Justin's on Let's Go. Hi, Mary. Welcome, welcome from going to be very, very cold Minnesota. How are we going? How are we feeling? Just doing a custom order for somebody at the moment. Justin's another 23 listings done. Time to go get some lunch before I do the post run. Chat to you lovely people on Tuesday. And John, my wife, will be sending you messages this afternoon. Awesome. For context, she wants to buy stuff. That reason and only that reason. Does anyone see Rachel Strickland's YouTube video this week about item specifics? No. I'll have a look. Rachel Strickland. Do you want to tell us? You're an inspiration, Justin. You are. Michelle, you want to tell us? Just give us some context on the video. It was basically about what item specifics is searchable, as in using specifics for searchable keywords. She did some tests about what came up in search and recommended additional specific interesting. Yeah. So I do that for action figures all the time, because when you do bulk listings, you so for example, I'll have toys and then have action figures, because action figures lets you put a number of characters, and those characters are searchable. So yes, that's right. If you run out of keywords, or if you have too many words, but they're all relevant, and you want to bundle something up, that's a great way of getting more words, I suppose. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I not, and also I use it to. I also use it for not even for bundles. I use it for like, how do I put it? Okay, say like an eggplant, right? Eggplant, you've got eggplant, aubergine, and brinjal. Those are the three words you use to describe the same thing. Or was it coriander and cilantro? So if there's like alternate words that all mean the same thing and you don't have enough title space, I also use specifics for that. So that's another one. The other use case, so we've got searchable, similar words, synonyms literally. Another one I use it for is if some things always come in pairs, but then they are not distinguishable from each other normally. So, for example, there are some characters where there are twins, in which case, then if I'm listing only one of the twins, I will use it for both the twins. So, in my action figure specific for the characters, it will say this character and this character because not everybody knows which one they're searching for. So, I'm trying to think of an example that is a very easy example to understand. So, for example, you wouldn't do it for Ninja Turtles because obviously people know if someone wants a Leonardo figure, they'll look for a Leonardo figure. But like with Thomas Trent, you've got Donald and Douglas, Bill and Ben. They both literally look the same, apart from the fact that one has the word Bill on it, one has the word Ben on it, or one has the number 9, one has the number 10. So in those kind of situation, in the names I would put both, so that if someone's looking for the singular of either or double, they always will turn up in the search. In which case, then the buyer may consider buying one instead of two or two instead of one. You get the idea. So yeah, it's a good way to qualify yourself for searches that actually are relevant to your buyers. Don't go and use it to like qualify for every search, in which case you will just annoy the buyer. But there are some instances where it's enough of a stretch that it's still relevant, and therefore, if you do it, the buyer will actually appreciate you for it. Yeah. That the special certificate didn't come up in search but recommended did. Um, that would make sense. That makes sense. Also, the one thing I've noticed with the additional versus recommended is for without the recommended, you can't really get the item. You can't really describe the item. The additional is more for what's the word? It's more like if the buyer really cares, then I guess they can find out the material. You know what I mean? So the example that we were talking about, actually, my wife and I were talking about this recently because we do clothes. It was like the the recommended is everything that you can see. This is a dress. It has a Disney print. It has a round neck. It has it has a short sleeve. It's a chiffon dress, right? That's the recommended. And then we noticed the additional was things like the underside of the tag. It's this percentage of polymer. It's you should wash it this way. And so I think that's really the difference. So when someone is searching for an item, it would make sense that the search would only give a hit on the stuff that's recommended because that's what helps the buyer arrive at the item. And then after that, if they are really wanting to know more about the item, that's where the additional comes in. So I think where they draw that line does make sense. Yes. So it's not really a hack. I mean, she calls it a hack because it's the word hack makes YouTube videos show up. But if anything, the title of it being a hack is more of a YouTube hack than it is an eBay hack. But when you think about eBay's logic of how they arrive at that line, makes sense. Pokemon versus Pokemon. Oh my gosh, that's the most annoying thing. I remember when I first listed Pokemon stuff and I did it only with the hyphenated E, didn't come up in search. Duh, because nobody types the hyphenated E. So yeah. Any thoughts? Anyone else have any opinions on the matter? If not, then give me a let's go and we'll start another timer. Who's gonna be our let's go person because our resident let's goer is no longer here. Oh, love it. Chances, go for it. Rachel, that's good to go. I like that. Dave, you're as consistent as the still waters of a stream from which sheep feel safe to drink. I've heard many say that specifics don't matter, but if you consider search and keywords, then they do. Yeah. For sure, for sure. And actually, it also applies to your active listings as well. So if you're the kind of person that lists things with a bunch of different words and you want to make it searchable for yourself, even it works in active listings. Um, Try to stick to what's in the down suggestions rather than make up your own color because eBay will only provide left side search options as the options they list only. Yeah, that is also true. In the options of motivation, just to unenthusiastic, let's go, which is let's go. Oh, gotta sign for another parcel, but I will start you guys on a timer. Let's go. Paul, do you wanna? Hey, Paul, in the next half hour, do you want to chime in? Do you want to like join the stream and just tell us about the tool rather than having to explain it in the chat? Would that help? As a way to close out the session, if you want to join in. Up to you. If you're feeling a bit flat and you don't want to do it, that's fine too. I just thought that would be easier than having to describe a tool in a chat. All right, cool. I'll let you hop on when you're ready. Here we go.
Hello,
Larry,
good afternoon.
welcome.
Sorry, should have sorted my headset out first.
All good, all good.
There we go.
You're on 2 weeks in a row. It's becoming a habit.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so tell us what you're building.
So early days, I'm just sort of playing around just to make sure that it can work. But yeah, I think a lot of people that resell buy from Facebook Marketplace. It's a good sourcing tool, but it's got a lot of shortcomings, of course, because it's free. So there are a lot of different scraping tools out there. Some are paid for. They've all got a lot of limitations, so they're not great. So I just thought I'd have a bit of a play around and see what I could come up with that might be useful for us in Australia. Facebook Marketplace is very different in different countries too. So ours in Australia is pretty different from the US. A lot of the tools just aren't very effective for here. So yeah, pretty much it's just a thing that you run on your computer, and it uses your browser. Currently, I can only do it with Chrome because there's a very specific feature of Chrome that allows it. But pretty much it uses your current logins, whatever you're logged into Facebook with, and it just launches an invisible version of Chrome in the background and just searches Marketplace for whatever keywords that you give it and just dumps out links to them pretty much that you can look at. So there's a few technical things to solve that's keeping me up at the moment. One of which is obviously we want to be able to look maybe outside your area. So if you want to buy nationally, and we need to be able to set and keep changing and skipping around the pin for in your search radius, so I need to be able to do that. And I also need to avoid Facebook's automation detection. Because at the moment, if you search pretty aggressively, it soft bans you for a few minutes, throttles you back.
Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
I've hit that. That was scary the first few times, but I need to, just need to work around that. The way to work around that's to have more computers, more accounts searching, so just to share that load around. But I need to figure out how to decide how I want to do that.
Right. That would be very useful. But then at the same time, though, remember, I think we had this conversation around how it would still be a text-based search, and people who
Yes.
sell on Facebook don't really think about the text that they use in their listings,
Yeah.
right? So therefore, you'd still end up with a bunch of listings that may or may not meet your criteria, and really then it'd be timeliness, isn't it? So you just want to be able to be the first to see it when it comes up, and then assess whether you want to take it or not. Because like Facebook's very good at giving me listings that I want to see, that I will probably end up buying, and it's just a matter of price point. But I've noticed the words don't matter because it's very much a photographic recognition type thing. Like he clicks on these photographs, not those photographs. So therefore, we give him more photographs that are like this photograph that will probably have stuff that he wants. But then your tool obviously doesn't have that. It's more based on just the search part, isn't it? The text-based search.
So there's going to be lots of stuff like people will put a listing up and have 10 photos of, an item for each photo, and they'll not have anything in the description. They'll just go online garage sale.
Yeah.
It's not going to catch anyone.
Or like bundle of toys.
Yeah, but they might, I think everyone's had those things where you see that great deal and you click on it and it was listed an hour ago and it's already gone. So it might help with that sort of thing. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so hopefully I can solve some of those problems. And
how does that link into Discord?
It just needs a way to send the alert. So it doesn't matter what platform it is. at the moment I'm just using Discord because it's convenient. But, it could be anything. It could send a text message. Text messages cost a few cents. Discord costs $0. So. And as an individual, anyone can go and set up a Discord server for free and configure it however you want.
Yep.
Set it up on your phone and set up your alerting however you want. So it's just a convenient way of sending a message to yourself.
Cool. Interesting. I heard when you were on Octo stream that there's a way to buy you coffee. Can you please give us that link so that we can actually figure out how to thank you for your efforts building things until you can charge us for your tools?
Yeah, it didn't occur to me until yesterday that if people hadn't seen that, they mightn't know there's configuration options even on the extension. If you just click on the extension in your toolbar, there's just a pop-up menu.
Do you want to guide people how to do that? So we're in Chrome. Where do we go?
Yeah, so if you click on, if it's not shown, you click on the little puzzle piece.
So there's extensions.
And then click on the extension.
Yep.
And there's just 3 icons down the bottom, settings, help, and coffee.
Do you want to send us your buy you a coffee actual coffee page? We'll just put it in the chat.
Okay.
Because out of the both of us on screen at the moment, you clearly need 10 and I 1.
Sorry, my screen's set up pretty high on this computer.
All right, Clint, see you. Thanks for joining us today. All right, everyone, here's the link to buy Paul a coffee if you appreciate him participating in our live streams and building tools that you are using to save time and streamline your processes. Please sustain him.
I've got a few other things I'll package up and send out maybe over this weekend. I've got that little automated tool for doing signatures on PDFs on your shipping labels. If there's anyone that, like maybe if you're doing more than 20 at a time.
Like myself, Michelle, like when we...
Yeah, it it adds maybe 15 seconds to the process. So I don't use it myself every day, but if it's after a weekend and I've got 30 things or 40 things going out, I use it. And I would think if you've got hundreds, then definitely it'd be worth a few seconds to do it, even if you just hate it.
I reckon Tom would like it though. I reckon because Tom's got how many hundreds of orders every other day.
And, I've got another one I did ages ago too. I know this is pretty controversial, but I know some people like to overlay graphics under their first thumbnail. So if you like to put a little logo or a watermark or something like that, I've got a tool for very quickly doing that as well. I did a trial with 100 listings where I did a little fast overnight Australian shipping footer on the bottom, and I don't think it hurts sales, and it may improve some types of listings for people that are in a hurry on certain types of items. So I built that. If anyone wants to use it, I'll put that out there too.
I feel like there comes a point where you just need to start some sort of a subscription to access your toolkit, and then we'll just pay whatever it is, like $9.95 a month or whatever it is, and just access that toolkit and pick from it whatever we want to do.
I mostly just make it for me because it's the equivalent of someone at home, right? If they're like, I need somewhere to hang my keys, and they go into the garage and they bang something out that takes 10 minutes, and they put some hooks on the wall and hang my bag and my keys and on there. It's the same thing. And then
but I mean I feel like we would all also value it and use it and actually see how we can integrate it if there is some sort of a buy-in as well. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of resellers, we do the eBay thing because it's free and the fee. And then after that, we don't really ever add anything else because no one really bothers to pitch us anything else. And then occasionally there's a hack here and it's called a hack there. But really, if it's a tool that we can integrate and build a process on, because the fact is we don't have processes in our businesses for the most part. It's all in our heads. So you've obviously put something into a tool instead of a head, like something that's stuck in someone's head. And if we see what you've done and go, that's something I can integrate, done.
Yeah. Maybe I will someday if there's enough there. I'll do that.
Cool.
I mean, that'd be great, right? Is to just make my living from just building cool stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's possible.
I think it's just bits of everything, right? Like, I mean, it's no different than myself having the reselling thing and then YouTube on the side, right? We're just trying to figure out how to add multiple streams of income to sustain our businesses and to give us more ways to apply ourselves, I guess. That's really what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you. I know you know that. So, but doesn't hurt to hear it more than less.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah. Anyone else got any questions for Paul regarding tools? Any tools that you wanted to create? Champs is asking for a tool to remove tool buyers. If someone makes that tool, Champs, you'll be a $1 billion company because something like Tinder will incorporate it, and then people will get better matches when they go out looking for a partner.
It's funny you should say that, but I am working on an eBay extension that's been, I spend about half an hour a week on it, so it's pretty slow going. But one of the things I've done is integrated in the ban list. So there's a shared block list that you can effectively subscribe to. So if you block a buyer, you've had a bad experience with it, adds it to a shared block list. So other people using the extension can see who you've blocked and decide if they want to add them or not. There's a long way to go with that. I want to have some kind of scoring system. So I don't want someone blocked from hundreds of sellers because they made a lowball offer or something. So I need to work out a good system for that. But there are these Facebook groups for sharing, the bad buyer block list groups. They seem very useful, and some are very clear cut. They're very obviously really bad buyers. And it'd be cool to have a way to be able to share those. And in particular, if I can link it so that when someone makes you an offer, next to their name on screen, if it can show you their rating, and you could potentially see that if there's a problem buyer right there before you even accept an offer, I think that would be cool.
There is a bit of a Black Mirror thing happening there, isn't there? Because there's the episode with I think it's what's her name?
The social, the social.
Yeah, that one, the one with Bryce Howard, and it's how your score never really goes up; it just only ever goes down. and it
Yeah,
feels that
so I
way
think
with
it
the whole
needs.
buyer rating system.
Yeah, and I feel like it needs to. I've spent a lot of time thinking about the ethics of it, and I think they do need to age out as well, or at least your score needs to tick down. So even if you've done really bad stuff, it's possible that in another year or 2 years that person might not, they might have gotten past that. Maybe they're a new buyer and just made a mistake.
Or they're in a
Or,
better financial place. They're not as desperate as they used to be.
yeah, so I don't think necessarily we want to. I want to provide the tools to be able to just block them forever if you want, but the default will be they'll kind of age out a little bit, and unless they're consistently doing bad stuff, they won't stay on them.
I think it's interesting you say that because you have you can almost do like an aggressive blocking versus a moderate blocking versus like a which really comes down to you would block the high scores if you're being super aggressive with it. And if I guess it's on the seller, right? If okay, first thing, we have a limit how many people we can block. I think it was 500 or 5,000. I remember there was like a limit how many accounts you can block.
Yeah.
If your tool removes that limit, and then if I block everybody on that list and I subscribe to the full list just to be safe, and I don't see any drop in sales, is it really a problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's not super widely known now, but that block list, it by default stops messages now as well. It used to be a separate setting. So your block list would stop someone buying, but people could still view your items and still send you messages. That was a separate setting, but they've changed the way that works now. But they, I believe, will not see your listings and can't yet send you messages the moment that you add them on that list. And it's not super clear. eBay haven't been clear on it. If they can even message you about existing orders. So potentially, if you block someone you're in the middle of a dispute, you might not see their messages.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely, I think all eBay crimes are equal. If you added or reported somebody for being, for being, a lowballer, that's completely different to send you back a box of bricks or something.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Scoring and ranking needs to take that into consideration, and ultimately the person with the extension needs to, not do any of that if they don't want, or they can use some of it. So the information
you could
will
almost
be there.
you could almost make a tool. Actually, no. This is me talking with no coding experience whatsoever. I'm just going. You go make a tool. But would the tool work if it started with I go to your extension first and I put in a blocked ID and I select a bunch of reasons, and those reasons attribute to the score, and then that then feeds it into a central system that other people can then update, so to speak. But then it also feeds it directly to all my accounts as well. So it's like I'm not having to have a log into one after another. So instead of pulling from my account, I'm putting into your thing.
Yeah. So the way I've got it working at the moment is when you do the report, you've got a couple of boxes that you tick for the reason. Because you can be just, this person annoyed me because they keep making low offers all the time, and, or they didn't pay, a non-paying bidder or something. I mean, they're pretty low tier crimes on eBay, but nonetheless, there's someone you might want to filter it out. So you report, and you have your own individual block list that gets saved within the extension. And what can happen is in the extension settings, you can subscribe to somebody else's list. So you could have like a central one that gets reported to, that's a trusted one, or you might just have, your buddies or someone that you follow. You could have a John the Reseller block list that you maintain, and other people can subscribe to it if they want to.
Subscribe to my block list for a fee.
Like if Tom had a really great media selling block list that he's been building for, 5 years or something, you can add that to your subscribe list.
Yes. Definitely useful. Definitely needs refining. And it's funny that you say ethics because you're the builder of it, right? It's a big responsibility building this kind of tool.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards not necessarily automatically adding to the block list, but having the information there that if someone makes an offer, you can kind of, if there's a red flag, it'll literally put a red flag next to it, and you can click on that and go their feedback and see what's going on. There are a lot of sellers that just routinely check people's feedbacks before they ship. So we could, I guess it's just a simpler way of doing that.
Dave saying, I've heard eBay messaging hides messages if there is rude language. Sellers have had issues with buyers as they don't know about the message problem. They get hit for not actioning the issue. Yeah, it's that filter is quite weird because I still see messages with bad language. So it's almost like the buyer has to realize that the messages aren't getting through, and then they might send a message with a couple of asterisks, after the F to try and get the point across.
Yeah.
But the fact that messages get at least give us the option to see those blocked messages, I reckon would be a good idea, because otherwise you wouldn't know what to do, and then things just happen in the back end. It's all disconnected and stuff.
Yeah, and that obviously it can escalate even further too if they think you're ignoring them.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think eBay's trying a lot of things and it hasn't quite gelled yet. Still figuring things out themselves.
Yes. Cool. Thank you, Paul, for sharing. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in. It was a productive session. The most productive of the Friday session so far. So well done, everyone. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Yeah, thank you for running it. On behalf of all
I'll
of us.
see you guys on. Huh? What?
Thank you for running it on behalf of everybody in the chat. I'm going to take that liberty and thank you on behalf of everyone.
You're welcome. Have an awesome weekend, and I will see you guys on Tuesday night. And buy Paul coffee. We'll end on that note. Buy Paul coffee.
I need one right now.
All right, see you, everyone. Bye.